Welcome to the Digital Intellect, bringing you the latest news from around the world. Breaking news: Boeing grounded as China strikes back. Boeing halts production. China's tariffs rock U.S. manufacturing. Factories fell silent. Assembly lines, once buzzing, now eerily still. Reporters gathered outside Boeing's main plant. Workers streamed out, faces tense and uncertain. It began with a single order from Beijing. China banned all Boeing deliveries. Now, hundreds of jets for Chinese airlines sat idle, monuments to a broken relationship. China's retaliation came without warning. Late last night, Beijing halted all Boeing aircraft deliveries. The message was blunt: no more U.S. planes until tariffs are lifted. This was a warning shot in an escalating trade war. For years, Boeing counted on China as its largest overseas market. Now, that lifeline was cut. China's move pushed the company to the brink. For Boeing's workers, the crisis was already painfully real. The impact on Boeing's workforce was immediate and devastating. Thousands arrived at their shifts, only to be told production lines were shutting down. Some were sent home with no clear return date. Others faced layoffs. Boeing's stock plummeted, and billions in market value vanished in a single day. Pension funds and retirement accounts took a hit. For many families, the pain was sudden and severe. Local businesses felt the blow too. The economic engine of entire communities sputtered. Boeing is more than just a company. It is the heart of many American towns. When production halts, the pain spreads fast. Suppliers, from tiny machine shops to major parts manufacturers, felt the shock. Orders were canceled, deliveries stopped. Some businesses faced closure within weeks. In Wichita, Kansas, a small family-owned parts supplier watched its order book vanish. "We depend on Boeing," the owner said. "Without them, we have nothing." Across the Midwest, truck drivers, welders, and machinists worried about their next paycheck. The supply chain was unraveling. The effects reached all the way to local schools and hospitals. With fewer jobs, tax revenue fell. Public services faced cuts. Teachers and nurses wondered if their jobs were safe. The crisis was no longer just about airplanes. It threatened the fabric of entire communities. Families faced tough choices. Some considered moving away. Others took second jobs to make ends meet. The sense of pride that came from building America's planes was replaced by fear. The trade war had come home, and its victims were everywhere. This crisis did not begin overnight. Its roots stretch back to 2018, when the United States imposed new tariffs on Chinese goods. The goal was to protect American industry. The result, however, was far more complicated. China responded with its own tariffs, targeting U.S. exports, including airplanes. At first, the damage seemed limited, but over time, the costs grew. American farmers lost access to Chinese markets. Tech companies faced new barriers. For Boeing, the warning signs were clear. Each round of tariffs made it harder to compete abroad. The trade war isolated American companies. Global partners grew wary. International supply chains began to shift. Instead of protecting jobs, tariffs put them at risk. The world's largest economies drifted further apart, and trust eroded. By 2025, the unintended consequences were undeniable. The policy meant to defend American industry had left it more vulnerable than ever. Now, with Boeing grounded, the cost of protectionism was plain for all to see. Some politicians called for Boeing to build American. But honestly, the reality is a lot more complex. Modern jets are marvels of global engineering. They rely on parts and expertise from dozens of countries. Wings from Japan, electronics from Germany, software from India. All of these come together on the assembly line. Boeing just can't simply replace these partners overnight. The supply chain is a delicate web. Disrupt one link, and well, the whole system suffers. Even if Boeing wanted to source everything in the United States, it would take years, if not decades, and cost billions more. The world's aviation industry is deeply interconnected. Airlines expect the best technology, no matter where it comes from. If Boeing cannot deliver, they will turn to competitors. Isolation is not a solution. It is a recipe for falling behind. The lesson is clear. America's strength lies in its global partnerships. Cutting ties does not make the country stronger. It only leaves it more alone and more at risk. Faced with uncertainty at home, Boeing began to look overseas. Executives quietly shifted investment to factories in Europe and Asia. New research centers opened in Singapore and India. Jobs that once belonged to American workers moved abroad. This was not a choice Boeing wanted to make. But constant policy changes made long-term planning impossible. Foreign governments offered stability and support. In contrast, the United States seemed unpredictable. For a global company, the math was simple. Go where the future looks brighter. The shift was gradual, but unmistakable. American towns lost out. Young engineers and skilled workers faced shrinking opportunities. The best minds began to look elsewhere for jobs. The brain drain was real, and it hurt. Boeing's move was a warning to all of American industry. Without stable, forward-looking policies, companies will invest where they feel welcome. The world is changing fast. America cannot afford to be left behind. While Boeing struggled, Airbus surged ahead. The European giant quickly filled the gap in China's market. Chinese airlines placed record orders for Airbus jets. Factories in France and Germany ramped up production. Airbus became the new symbol of global aviation leadership. For China, the switch was easy. Airbus offered modern, reliable planes. Political tensions were lower. The partnership grew stronger with each new deal. Meanwhile, American influence in the aviation industry faded. The contrast was stark. Boeing, once the world's leader, now watched from the sidelines. Airbus celebrated its gains, hiring thousands of new workers. The balance of power in the skies had shifted. The message was clear for the world to see. In a global economy, leadership can change fast. America's loss was Europe's gain, and the consequences would last for years to come. The Boeing crisis is a warning. Protectionism may sound strong, but it weakens the nation. When America closes its doors, it loses more than markets. It loses jobs, innovation, and its place in the world. The world is more connected than ever. No country can build everything alone. America's industrial strength depends on global engagement. When trade wars erupt, everyone pays the price, especially workers and families. The choice is clear. America can cling to isolation and watch its industries fade. Or it can lead by opening up, building partnerships, and competing on the world stage. The future of American manufacturing hangs in the balance. The lesson is urgent. To stay strong, America must embrace the world, not shut it out. The next chapter depends on the choices made today. The stakes could not be higher.